My name is Soren Beck Whitmore, but to my family, I've always just been Grandpa Soren. I'm 69 years old, and on what should have been a warm, ordinary moment, a family group call 2 weeks before Christmas, everything shifted. They smiled while they said it, used gentle voices, told me it was just a suggestion. I was given a spending limit for Christmas gifts. They said I should keep things simple, because I was living off old savings now. No one asked me a question. They assumed the answer. In that moment, I realized something important. They didn't think I understood numbers anymore. They thought age had softened my edges. Tonight, I'm going to tell you what my family did to me, how a polite conversation turned me from father into liability, and how Christmas became the moment I reminded them who built the foundation they were standing on. Because while they were worried about how much I spent, I was reviewing contracts, rereading agreements, and setting a deadline they didn't see coming. But before I go on, let me ask you, have you ever been underestimated so quietly that it took a while to notice? Tell me where you're watching from in the comments. To everyone here who listens, who understands the sting of being reduced to a number, thank you. Your support means more than you know. And if this is your first time here, consider subscribing. This channel isn't about shouting or revenge in the moment. It's about patience and leverage. Now, let me tell you what they said next, what I chose not to argue about, and why Christmas that year ended with a deadline none of them could ignore. Tea was a Tuesday night, November 12th. I remember because I'd just finished balancing my monthly portfolio, something I've done for 43 years without missing a single month. The video call notification came through at 7:47 p.m. Group call, Maeve, Jax, Esme, all three of my children, together, which almost never happens unless someone's getting married or someone's died. I answered, saw their faces arranged in neat little squares on my screen. Maeve in her kitchen, Jax in what looked like his home office, Esme on her couch with that floral throw pillow my late wife Beck bought her 6 years ago. "Hey, Dad," Maeve started, too bright, too eager, that voice she uses when she's about to ask for something. "Hi, sweetheart," I said. "What's going on? Everything okay?" "Everything's great," Jax cut in. "We just wanted to touch base before the holidays. You know, coordinate." Coordinate. That should have been my first warning. "We were thinking," Esme said carefully, "that this year we could all just simplify Christmas a little bit." I nodded, waited, let them fill the silence. Maeve took over. She's always been the spokesperson, the oldest, the organizer. "Dad, we've been talking, just the three of us, and we think it might be good if we all set a budget for gifts this year. Keep things reasonable. You know, practical." "A budget," I repeated. "Right," Jax jumped in. "Like maybe $50 per person? That way no one feels pressured to overspend, and we can focus on the meaning of the holiday instead of, the materialism of it all." $50? I've given them $50 in birthday cards when they were teenagers. "That sounds fine," I said evenly. "Is there a reason we're doing this now? We've never had a budget before." The pause was half a second too long. "Well," Maeve glanced off screen like she was reading notes. "We just think that with everyone's situations, it makes sense. Esme and her husband are saving for renovations. Jax has the business. And Dad—" She stopped. "And me?" I prompted. "You're retired," she said gently. So gently, like she was explaining something to a child. "You're living off your savings now. We don't want you stretching yourself thin trying to keep up with, how things used to be." How things used to be. Translation: when your wife was alive and you weren't alone and diminished. "We're just trying to be considerate," Jax added, "of everyone, including you." Esme nodded, her face full of concern that looked rehearsed. "We love you, Dad. We just want to make sure you're comfortable, that you're not stressed about money." I looked at their faces on my screen. My daughter, who I taught to read balance sheets when she was 12. My son, who I walked through his first investment portfolio at 16. My youngest, who used to sit on my lap while I explained compound interest using her Halloween candy as an example. They were looking at me like I was fragile, like I'd forgotten how to count. "That's very thoughtful," I said. $50, I can do that." Relief washed over all three faces. "Great," Maeve said. "Oh, and Dad, this is for everyone, okay? So you don't need to, go overboard for the grandkids either. They have enough toys." "Understood." "Perfect. Okay, well, we'll let you go. Love you." "Love you too." The call ended. I sat in my living room, the one with the paid-off mortgage they didn't know I owned outright, and stared at the dark screen. $50. Because I was living off savings. Because I was old. Because they'd decided, without asking me, that I couldn't handle my own finances anymore. 3 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A group text. From Maeve, to all of us. "Just to confirm, $50 limit per person for Christmas gifts. Let's make this a meaningful, simple holiday." Jax hearted the message. Esme replied, "Love this idea. So much less pressure." I didn't respond. Instead, I walked to my study, opened my laptop, logged into my primary brokerage account. Current balance, $4,247,922. I opened the second account, balance, $2,191,450. I pulled up the spreadsheet I maintain for my real estate holdings. 4 properties, total estimated value, $1,850,000. I wasn't living off savings. I was living off interest and dividends alone. But they didn't know that. They thought the man in the old cardigan with the 12-year-old Camry was struggling. They'd made assumptions, held meetings, decided my limitations without asking a single question. I closed the laptop, sat back in my chair, and for the first time in 3 years, since Beck died and the world went gray, I felt something sharp and clear. A plan. They wanted simple. I'd give them simple. But first, I needed to know exactly what they really thought of me. Thanksgiving was 11 days later. Maeve hosted, like always. Her house in the suburbs with the vaulted ceilings and the kitchen island I helped finance when she and her husband Beck, yes, same name as my late wife, which still stings, bought the place 8 years ago. I arrived at 2 p.m., brought wine, expensive wine, but in an understated bottle. Maeve hugged me at the door. "Dad, you didn't have to bring anything." "It's Thanksgiving," I said. "Of course I did." Inside, the house smelled like turkey and something cinnamon. Jax and his wife Ione were already there, sitting on the couch with drinks. Esme and her husband Cade arrived 10 minutes after me, carrying a pie. We did the whole thing. The small talk. The catching up. Jax told me about a new client his consulting firm landed. Esme talked about her kids' school play. Maeve showed me photos of a vacation they were planning. No one mentioned money. No one mentioned Christmas. But I watched them. The way Jax's eyes lingered on the furniture. The new rug. The remodeled fireplace. The way Ione whispered something to Maeve in the kitchen, and Maeve nodded with this tight, knowing smile. The way Esme's husband Cade asked me too casually, "So, Soren, how's retirement treating you? Staying busy?" "Busy enough," I said. "Good, good. Must be nice to have time to relax. No stress." No stress. Code 4, no responsibilities, no relevance. We sat for dinner, 23 people around Maeve's extended table, my 3 kids, their spouses, 7 grandchildren, a few cousins. I sat at the head because I'm the patriarch, and they still give me that. For now. Halfway through the meal, Jax raised his glass. "I just want to say," he started, his voice carrying that performative sincerity, "how grateful I am for family, for this table, for Dad, who taught us the value of hard work and smart planning." Everyone nodded, clinked glasses. "And I'm especially grateful," he continued, looking right at me, "that we're all on the same page about keeping things simple this year. Less pressure, more presence." Maeve raised her glass. "Here, here." I smiled, sipped my wine, said nothing. After dinner, while the kids played in the basement and the women gathered in the kitchen, I found myself alone in Maeve's living room with Jax. He sat down next to me. Close. That concerned proximity. "Dad, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you doing okay? Financially?" I turned to look at him. My firstborn. The one I stayed up with during colic. The one I taught to drive, to tie a tie, to read a P&L statement. "Why do you ask?" "I just—" He glanced toward the kitchen like he was checking if anyone could hear. "I know Mom handled a lot of the household stuff, the bills, the accounts, and I know you've been on your own for a few years now, and I just want to make sure you're not struggling." "I'm not struggling, Jax." "Okay, good, that's good." He paused. "It's just, you drive that old Camry. You wear the same 3 sweaters. You haven't updated your phone in like 5 years. Those things work fine." I know. I'm not judging. I just want to make sure that if you ever need help, like real help, you tell us. We're here for you." The concern in his voice sounded genuine, but underneath it, I heard something else. Preparation. He wasn't offering help. He was laying groundwork. "I appreciate that," I said, "but I'm fine, really." He nodded, squeezed my shoulder. "Okay. Just, you know where to find me." Later, as I was getting my coat to leave, I passed Maeve's home office. The door was cracked. I heard voices. Ione and Esme. "Talked to that lawyer friend of mine," Ione was saying. "She said the process isn't that complicated if there's documented concern." "Concern about what?" Esme asked. "Cognitive decline. Financial mismanagement. My cousin's a geriatric psychiatrist. She could do an evaluation. Informal, obviously." My hand froze on my coat. "I don't know," Esme said quietly. "That feels extreme. He seems fine." "He seems fine because Maeve and Jax are watching him," Ione replied. "But what happens when he starts giving money to scammers, or forgets to pay his mortgage? We're just being proactive." Proactive. I put on my coat, walked out, waved goodbye to everyone with a smile, drove home in my 2008 Camry, sat in my driveway for 20 minutes. Then I pulled out my phone and sent a single text to my attorney, Nix. "Need to meet. Soon. It's time to restructure everything." She replied in 30 seconds. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., my office." I walked inside, made tea, sat at my kitchen table, and started writing down names. Not a guest list. A battlefield map. Nix's office smelled like leather and old books. She'd been my attorney for 19 years. Handled my estate planning when Beck was still alive. Knew every asset, every structure, every number. When I walked in that Friday morning, she already had files spread across her desk. "Soren," she said, standing. "Your text sounded urgent." "It is." I sat down, took a breath, and told her everything. The video call, the budget, Thanksgiving, the overheard conversation. When I got to the part about Ione's psychiatrist cousin and the word evaluation, Nix's jaw tightened. "They're building a competency case," she said flatly. "I know." "Do they have grounds?" "None. I manage my own portfolio. Pay my bills on time. I'm sharper now than I was at 50. She leaned back. "Then why are they doing this?" "Because they need money, and they think I'm the easy path to it." Nix pulled out a legal pad, started writing. "What do you want to do?" "I want to make myself untouchable." "Legally?" "Completely." She looked up. "Define untouchable." I'd thought about this, all night, every angle. "I want my assets moved into structures they can't trace, trusts they don't know exist. I want every property, every account, every stock holding under names that don't connect to me on paper." "That's aggressive." "They're talking about declaring me incompetent, Nix. That's aggressive." She nodded slowly. "Okay, we can do this, but it'll take time, and it'll require some creative restructuring." "How long?" 4 weeks, maybe 5. I need it done by December 20th. Her pen stopped. That's 4 weeks from today. I know. Soren, that's possible, I said. You've done faster. I've seen you do faster. She studied me. This woman who'd watched me sign my will, who'd sat with Beck and me when we planned our estate, who knew exactly how much I was worth and how carefully I'd built it. You're really doing this, she said. I'm protecting myself. From your own children. From people who think I'm too old to notice what they're doing. She picked up her pen. All right, let's build a fortress. We spent 3 hours mapping it out. First, move the real estate holdings into an LLC I'd never mentioned to anyone. Name it something generic. Soren didn't appear anywhere on the paperwork. Second, restructure the brokerage accounts. Split them. Move portions into irrevocable trusts with me as the trustee, but distributions controlled by strict terms they'd never guess. Third, the cash accounts. Spread them across 3 banks, different states, accessible only by me. Fourth, and this was Nix's idea, create a decoy. Leave one account visible, she said, something they can find if they go looking. Make it look like your primary. Put maybe 200,000 in it. Why? Because if they think that's all you have, they'll calculate their strategy around that number. They'll make mistakes. I smiled. First time in weeks. You're devious. I learned from you. By the time I left her office, we had a plan, a timeline, and a list of documents I needed to sign over the next 3 weeks. But I still had a problem. I didn't know the full scope of what they were planning. I'd overheard one conversation. But how deep did this go? How long had they been discussing this? I needed proof, not speculation, not assumptions, evidence. And 3 days later, I got it. Maeve called me on a Monday afternoon. Her printer was broken. Could I come take a look? I'm not a tech expert, but I'm the dad, so I said yes. I drove to her house. She let me in, apologizing about the inconvenience. I have a Zoom meeting in 20 minutes, she said, rushing. The printer's in my office. You know where everything is, right? I'll figure it out. You're the best, Dad. She disappeared upstairs. I went to her office. The printer was fine, just a paper jam and a disconnected cable. Took me 4 minutes to fix. But her laptop was open on the desk, screen still lit. And there, in the corner of her desktop, was a folder. The label was visible even from where I stood. Dad, Trust Docs. I shouldn't have looked. I'm not the kind of man who invades privacy. But the folder had my name on it, and they'd been having meetings about me without inviting me. I sat down, clicked the folder. It opened. Inside were PDFs, email threads, printed documents. I started reading. The first email was from Maeve to Jax, dated October 14th, 5 weeks before the video call. Subject, Dad's situation. Need to talk. Jax, I'm worried. Dad's been acting strange since Mom died. Wearing the same clothes. Driving that old car. I don't think he's managing money well anymore. We need to step in before he does something reckless. Can we get on a call this week? My chest tightened. I kept scrolling. Jax's response. Agree. I've noticed it too. He seems slower. I think we need to establish a pattern of concern. Document things. Maybe set some boundaries around spending so we have a record of him agreeing to oversight. Boundaries around spending. The $50 limit. It wasn't about simplicity. It was about documentation. I clicked the next email. From Ione to Maeve, November 3rd. Talk to my cousin Rachel, the psychiatrist. She said if we can show a pattern of declining judgment, we can petition for a capacity evaluation. It's not aggressive, it's protective. She's willing to consult if we need her. If we need her. Another email. Esme to the group, November 8th. I feel awful about this, but I agree we need to do something. What if Dad gives money to a scam? What if he forgets to pay property taxes? We'd never forgive ourselves. Maybe we start with a financial power of attorney. Just in case. Just in case. I sat back. They'd been planning this for 6 weeks. Every conversation, every concerned voice, every "We're here for you, Dad." It was strategy. I heard footsteps upstairs. Maeve finishing her meeting. I forwarded the entire folder to my personal email. Every document, every thread. Then I closed the laptop, stood up, walked out of the office like nothing had happened. "All fixed," I called up the stairs. "Thanks, Dad. You're a lifesaver." I drove home, didn't cry, didn't yell, just sat in my kitchen and read every email again on my own computer. And then I called Nix. "Change of plans," I said. "I need everything done by December 15th, and I need one more thing." "What?" "I'm hosting Christmas dinner at my house, December 23rd, and I need you there." "Soren, what are you planning?" "I'm planning to set a deadline." For the next 3 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. Or maybe I became exactly who they expected. I played confused. I played small. I played old. It was easier than I thought it would be. At Jax's office holiday party, I asked him to explain cryptocurrency. Again. Even though I'd understood blockchain technology before he'd ever heard of Bitcoin. He explained it slowly, patiently, like I was a child. "Does that make sense, Dad?" "I think so," I said, furrowing my brow. "So it's like digital money?" "Exactly. You got it." He looked so pleased with himself. At Esme's house for her daughter's birthday, I mentioned, casually, that I was thinking about cutting back on some subscriptions. "Just trying to be smart about the budget," I said. Esme's eyes lit up. "That's really responsible, Dad. Good for you." She texted the group later. I know because Nix had quietly arranged for me to receive copies of their texts. Not illegal. They were discussing me, using my name, planning around my assets. My attorney said it was fair game. Esme's text. "Dad mentioned budgeting today. I think the Christmas limit thing is actually helping him think more carefully about money." Maeve's response. "Good. It's working." It's working. I wasn't angry anymore. I was surgical. Every family interaction became data collection. Every concerned question they asked me, I answered just vaguely enough to confirm their assumptions. When Maeve asked if I needed help organizing my files, I said, "Maybe after the holidays. Things have been a little overwhelming." When Jax offered to take a look at my investments, I said, "That might be good. I'll think about it." I never said yes, but I never said no. I let them think I was considering their help. Meanwhile, Nix was building. By December 10th, everything was moved. The real estate, untraceable. The brokerage accounts, restructured into 3 trusts with terms so specific that even a court order would take months to unravel. The cash, distributed. My visible bank account, the decoy, sat at $187,000. Enough to look legitimate. Not enough to look wealthy. If they searched my name in property records, they'd find my house. Paid off, worth maybe $400,000. If they checked my primary checking account, they'd see modest activity. Utility bills, groceries. Nothing extravagant. On paper, I looked like exactly what they thought I was. A retiree living carefully on limited savings. But the reality, I'd made myself a ghost. On December 15th, Nix handed me a folder. "It's done," she said. "You're completely protected. Even if they tried to file for conservatorship tomorrow, there's nothing for them to control. Everything's locked in structures that require your active consent to access." "What about after I'm gone?" "The trusts have clear terms. They're all still beneficiaries. But distributions are tied to conditions." "What conditions?" She smiled. "The ones you're going to explain to them on December 23rd. That night I sent the invitations. Not a group text, individual calls, personal. I called Maeve first. "Sweetheart, I'd like to host Christmas this year. At my house. Nothing big, just family. December 23rd. Can you make it?" Silence. Then, "Oh, Dad, that's so sweet. Are you sure you're up for it?" "I think I can manage." "Okay, yeah, we'll be there. Do you need help cooking?" "No, I've got it covered. I called Jax. Same script, same response. Dad, that's great, but are you sure? We can host. You don't have to. I want to. Okay, we'll be there. I called Esme last. Dad, I love that. But are you feeling okay? You haven't hosted since Mom. I know, I think it's time. Her voice softened. Okay, we'll be there. I'm proud of you. Proud of me? For hosting a dinner. Like it was some monumental achievement for a man who'd run a financial consultancy for 30 years. I hung up and sat in my living room. The tree was already up. I decorated it myself. White lights, simple ornaments. No help needed. I thought about Beck, my wife, the woman who'd built half of everything I owned, who'd taught me that silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. She'd always said, "Let people underestimate you, Soren. It's the best advantage you'll ever have." I'd forgotten that. Until now. I opened my laptop, pulled up the email folder I'd forwarded from Maeve's computer, read through the threads one more time. Dates, details, plans, every piece of evidence that this wasn't concern. It was calculation. Then I drafted an email to Nix. December 23rd, 6 p.m. My house, bring the trust documents, all of them. And one more thing, I need you to prepare a video presentation. I'll send you the script tomorrow. She responded immediately. You're really doing this, I typed back. They wanted simple. I'm giving them clarity. I closed the laptop, looked at the calendar on my wall. 8 days until Christmas dinner. 8 days until my children walked into my house expecting a frail old man who needed their help, and instead met the architect who'd been building leverage while they built a case. I went to bed that night and slept better than I had in months, because I wasn't reacting anymore. I was 3 moves ahead, and they had no idea the board had changed. December 23rd arrived faster than I expected, and when my children walked through my door that evening, they had no idea they were walking into a reckoning. I'm going to tell you about the dinner, the reveal, the moment Jack saw the documents Nix placed in front of him, the moment Maeve realized I'd read every single email, and the moment Esme understood that just in case had consequences. But before we get there, I need to ask you something. Have you ever had to prove yourself to people who should have never doubted you? Drop A if you think I'm doing this right. Drop A if you think I'm going too far. And if you're sitting there thinking, I wish I had the guts to do what Soren's doing, subscribe right now. Because the next chapter isn't just about confrontation. It's about the moment leverage becomes power, and power becomes choice. Also, I see some of you watching without subscribing. That's fine. But here's the thing. The finale drops only for subscribers first. If you want to know how this ends before anyone else, you need to be locked in. Comment below, I'm ready for the dinner. Let me see those comments flood in. Let me know you're still here. Because what happens next, it's the reason I'm telling this story at all. See you at the table. Now let's dive into it. They arrived at 5:58 p.m., 2 minutes early, all 3 families, looking slightly uncomfortable but trying to hide it. Maeve brought flowers. Dad, your house looks amazing. Did you clean all by yourself? I'm capable of vacuuming, sweetheart. Jax handed me a bottle of wine, cheap, under $20, staying within the spirit of the budget, I suppose. Esme hugged me tight, whispered, I'm so glad you're doing this. I smiled, said nothing. The dining room table was set for 10. My 3 children, their spouses, me at the head, and 1 empty seat. Dad, Jack said, scanning the table. You set an extra place. I did. Who's coming? You'll see. At exactly 6:15, the doorbell rang. I opened it. Nix stood there. Sharp blazer, leather briefcase, every inch the attorney. Good evening, Soren, she said. Behind me, I heard Maeve's voice. Dad, who is that? I turned. This is Nix, my attorney. She's joining us for dinner. The room went silent. Jax stood up. Your attorney? Dad, what's going on? Sit down, Jax. Please, everyone, sit. They did, slowly, glancing at each other. Nix took the empty seat, placed her briefcase on the floor beside her. I served dinner, roasted chicken, garlic potatoes, green beans, everything I'd cooked myself. We ate in near silence. The only sounds were forks on plates and nervous sips of water. After 15 minutes, I set down my fork. I want to thank you all for coming tonight, I said. I know it's unusual for me to host. I know you've been worried about me. Maeve jumped in. Dad, we're not worried. I held up my hand. Let me finish. She closed her mouth. I know about the meetings, I said quietly. The emails, the strategy sessions, the psychiatrist cousin, all of it. Maeve went pale. Jax's face hardened. Dad, I don't know what you think you... October 14th, I said, looking at Maeve. You sent an email to Jax. Subject line, Dad's situation, need to talk. You said I was acting strange, that I wasn't managing money well, that you needed to step in. Her eyes filled with tears. Dad, we were just concerned. November 3rd, I continued, turning to Jax. Ione emailed about a capacity evaluation, about documenting declining judgment, about establishing a pattern. Ione's face went red. November 8th. Esme, you mentioned financial power of attorney. Just in case. Esme was shaking. We were trying to protect you. From what? My voice was calm, steady. From scammers? Or from having control over my own life? Silence. The $50 Christmas budget, I said. It wasn't about simplicity. It was about documentation, creating a pattern of oversight, of me agreeing to limits, correct? Jax wouldn't look at me. Dad, you're taking this the wrong way. Am I? Nix opened her briefcase, pulled out folders, 3 of them. She placed one in front of each of my children. These, I said, are your new trust documents. Maeve opened hers with shaking hands, started reading. You're all still beneficiaries of my estate, I continued. Every dollar I've built, every property, every investment, it's still yours when I'm gone. Relief flickered across their faces. But, I said, and that relief died. There are conditions now. Conditions? Jax's voice was sharp. Read page 3. They flipped pages. Read. And I watched understanding dawn. Mandatory family therapy, Maeve read aloud. For 1 year, starting January 15th. Quarterly financial transparency meetings, Jax read, his voice flat, where we share our financial status with you. And a public apology, Esme whispered, to you, in front of the extended family, at Christmas. That's 2 days from now, Maeve said. I know. Dad, you can't be serious, Jax said, standing. You're blackmailing us. No, I said. I'm setting boundaries, the same way you tried to set them for me. The difference is, mine are built on truth. I stood, walked to the sideboard, pulled out a laptop. I want to show you something. I opened it, turned it toward them. On the screen was a video. My late wife, Beck, recorded 3 months before she died. I pressed play. Her voice filled the room. If you're watching this, Beck said, looking directly at the camera, it means my children forgot something important, so I'm going to remind them. Maeve started crying. Your father is the strongest, smartest, most capable man I've ever known. He built everything we have. Not me, not luck, him. And if you ever treat him like he's less than who he is because he's quiet or humble or doesn't show off, you'll answer to me, even from wherever I am. Beck's face softened. Soren, if you're showing them this, it means you're handling it. Good. Don't let them forget who raised them. And kids, don't let grief make you cruel. Your father deserves better. The video ended. The room was silent except for Maeve's quiet sobbing. I didn't want to do this, I said. I wanted to believe the budget was about love, about concern. But then I found the emails, and I realized you weren't protecting me. You were positioning yourselves. Dad, Jax's voice broke. You have a choice, I said. Sign the documents. Agree to the terms. Rebuild trust the right way, or walk away, and you'll get nothing until I'm gone. And maybe not even then. I sat down. I'll give you 5 minutes to decide. Nix and I will be in the kitchen. We left them there. In the kitchen, Nix touched my arm. That was brutal. It had to be. Do you think they'll sign? I don't know. 4 minutes later, Maeve appeared in the doorway. Eyes red, face blotchy. We'll sign, she said. All of us. December 25th, Christmas morning. I woke up at 6 a.m., made coffee, and sat in my living room with the lights off except for the tree. The house was quiet. No grandchildren running downstairs, no laughter, no chaos, just me. And for the first time in 3 years, that felt okay. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed, a text from Maeve. We're outside. Can we come in? I opened the door. All 3 of them stood on my porch. No spouses this time, just my children. Maeve held a gift bag. Simple, clearly homemade. We wanted to bring you this, she said, before the apology later today. I stepped aside, let them in. We sat in the living room, the same room where 2 days ago I'd played that video of their mother. Jax spoke first. Dad, I need to say something. His voice was rough. I was scared. My business is failing. I've been underwater for 8 months, and instead of asking you for help, I tried to take control. That was wrong. I'm sorry. Esme nodded. I went along with it because I was desperate. Cade's startup needed capital, and I thought if we just managed things for you, it would solve everything. But we weren't managing. We were manipulating. Maeve handed me the bag. We got you this. It's not worth $50. It's not worth anything, really. But it's real. I opened it. Inside was a photo album. Handmade. Filled with pictures I'd never seen. Me and Beck on our wedding day. Me teaching Jax to ride a bike. Maeve's college graduation. Esme's first piano recital. On the last page, they'd written something together. To the man who taught us everything, including how to be wrong. We're sorry. We'll do better. We love you. M.J.E. I closed the album, looked at them, and for the first time since Thanksgiving, I let myself feel it. The hurt, the betrayal, but also the love. I forgive you, I said, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means we move forward differently. They nodded. The therapy starts January 15th, I said, and the apology happens today, in front of everyone. We know, Maeve said. We'll do it. That afternoon, the extended family gathered. Cousins, aunts, uncles, 23 people in Maeve's living room. I sat in the corner, said nothing, and one by one my children stood up, explained what they'd done, what they'd planned, how they'd underestimated me. It was humiliating for them, necessary for me. When it was over, Maeve's husband Beck, the one who'd sent me the emails, sat down next to me. You did the right thing, he said quietly. Did I? You taught them something they'll never forget. That's what fathers do. I nodded. Across the room, Esme's daughter, my youngest granddaughter, ran up to me with a candy cane. Grandpa, Mommy said you're the smartest person she knows. I smiled. Did she? Yep. Is that true? Maybe, I said. But the smartest thing I ever did was forgive people who hurt me. She didn't understand, but someday she would. I drove home that night, alone, made tea, sat in my chair, opened my laptop. $8.2 million. Still there, untouched. But the number didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that my children knew. I wasn't confused. I wasn't fragile. I was their father, and I always would be, even when they forgot, especially when they forgot. I closed the laptop, looked at the photo album on the table, And for the first time since Beck died, I felt like I could breathe. Not because I'd won, but because I'd set them free. And in doing that, I'd set myself free too. That's the end of my story. But before you go, I need to ask you something. Was I right? Was I cruel? Was I both? Tell me in the comments. Because here's the truth. This wasn't about revenge. It was about respect. About reminding the people you love that age doesn't erase value, that quiet doesn't mean weak, that loving someone means seeing them, really seeing them. If this story meant something to you, if you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or erased by the people who should know you best, subscribe, because this channel is for us, the ones who've been counted out, the ones who stay quiet until the moment we don't. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Drop A if you think I did the right thing. Drop A if you think I went too far. And comment, I see you, Soren, if you understand why this had to happen. Thank you for being here, for listening, for not looking away. My name is Soren Beck Whitmore. I'm 69 years old, and I'm not done yet. Neither are you. See you in the next story.